It's getting towards the end of winter. The promise of spring is in the air. This time of year, a late frost or a cold turn in the weather really hurts the soul. So, to ward off these late winter blues, I'm making myself a mood-restoring pumpkin tart. This recipe comes with bonus pumpkin soup. Ingredients for the filling are pumpkin, parsnips, carrot, coconut milk, cornstarch, garlic, onion, salt and pepper, and nutmeg. As you're seeing, I'm using garlic powder and dried onions. You can, of course, use fresh, but I was not in a headspace where I wanted to get involved with cutting onions. Right out of the gate, let's tackle the pumpkin. Cut the pumpkin into sections and take the skin off. Once you're done with that, put the pumpkin sections on a baking sheet. That one thought it could get away by hiding. Drizzle the pumpkin with olive oil and season liberally. Generally, I find pumpkin needs a lot of seasoning, so use a smidge more than you usually would. Put the pumpkin in the oven at 150 degrees Celsius for 25 minutes. Oh, if you're wondering why I've got the Christmas lights out, the weather is intermittently cloudy today, and the light goes from bright to dark every 5 minutes, which is really messing with the camera, so I got the lights out to give the camera a steady light source. Moving right along to the crust of our tart. Ingredients are flour, vegan butter or margarine, soy or other milk replacement, pumpkin seeds, salt, pepper and garlic powder. Get out a blender and blend up the flaxseed. Then add pumpkin seeds and blend some more. Get out a large bowl and add the seed blend, salt, pepper, garlic and flour. Cut the butter into cubes. Use the fork to press the butter into the dry ingredients until you have butter crumbs. Add the soy milk and mix it up. When you notice the fork isn't doing much anymore, switch to kneading by hand. Knead until you make a dough. Put it in the fridge for about an hour. Next up, Peel, slice and cube the carrots and parsnips. Take the pumpkin out of the oven and move it to a pot. You could straight up cook the pumpkin from raw, but I like the flavor of roasting first. The edges caramelize slightly and it just adds a little something. Let's move over to the stove. Add a can of coconut milk. Then use the masher or crusher or whatever you call it and, well, crush. If you prefer very smooth texture, use a submersion blender, but I love chunks. Add the carrots and parsnips as well as about half a liter of broth. I realized too late that I didn't have any broth, so I used just plain water and it tasted very nice regardless. Keep a little water aside to dissolve the cornstarch. Do not forget the seasoning and add a good amount of nutmeg. I really like nutmeg, so I'm using about a flat teaspoonful. If you're not so sure about nutmeg, maybe half that for a start and then do a taste test later and see how you feel. Let the soup simmer for 20 minutes while stirring occasionally. Get out a tart form and coat it with coconut oil and dust with flour. Get the dough out of the fridge and roll it out. Flip the dough into the form and push the dough into the nooks and crannies. Remove the overhang. Blind bake for 15 minutes at about 150 degrees Celsius. The soup is looking delicious and smells fantastic. Now add the cornstarch. Stir very well and let the soup come to a boil again for a few minutes, literally 1 or 2 minutes. Tart crust is out of the oven. Ladle pumpkin into the tart until it is full to just below the rim. Put it back in the oven and bake for another 25 minutes at 150 degrees Celsius. And the pumpkin soup is ready to eat. Especially good with a drizzle of pumpkin seed oil and some black cumin. Oh, I just remembered I have a little crust dough left over, so I'm gonna make myself some crackers. Roll out the dough very, very thinly, cut into rectangles and put it in the oven with the tart for about 15 minutes. By the magic of filmmaking, the crackers are ready. The tart is done as well. I let it cool and set and then ate it for lunch for a few days. Really delicious and wholesome. Thank you so much for watching. If you decide to make this tart, let me know how you like it. And if you enjoyed this video, you should subscribe.